either live by the gun or you die by the sword.
Welcome to the Good, the Bad, and the Weird MicroViews. I'm Nicho.
And I'm Chris.
And while Kaidan was serious and Yokai Monsters 100 Monsters was slightly silly,
yeah,
we wanted to cover something completely silly and was both a kaiju and a yokai movie.
Yes, it is.
Because while also being one of the more prominent yokai known worldwide,
I would
the
agree.
Kappa.
Yeah, this movie is the silliest movie.
It's so dumb.
It's so dumb.
If you haven't guessed it, we're doing Death Kappa from 2010.
This movie, I had a lot of hopes. I enjoyed this. Don't let me like bash on this movie and make you guys think I didn't love it. I loved this movie. But this movie is firmly in Christine's garbage pile.
Oh yeah. No, this movie is...
What plot? What story?
There is
a light plot.
There is a very light plot. And we'll get into it in just a minute here, because, it is all over the place.
Also, this Kappa, just so that everyone, as Nicho is describing to you what a Kappa is, I want you to imagine Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but uglier. The live-action one, where they're wearing the little rubber suits, that, but uglier.
Yes. It's written by Masakazu Migita and directed by Tomo Haraguchi. Death Kappa follows a Kappa who must save the world after it's taken over by super soldiers created in the wake of an atomic detonation.
And also not Godzilla.
No.
Definitely not Godzilla.
No, even the DVD cover says King Kong is killed, Godzilla is retired, a new monster is in town.
That's right, because the other thing is definitely not Godzilla.
Nope. But it stars Misata Hirata as Kanako Kawato, Kazunori Yoku as Death Kappa,
good,
and Mika Sakuraba as Yuriko.
Yeah.
Notably, Megita is more worked onto the Ultraman Tiga, Dinah, and Gaia. But for me, there's a couple movies I know him from that have a similar issue, but I think are better.
Okay.
Monster Seafood Wars.
Yeah, that sounds promising.
Which, you would love it.
I bet.
It starts off as a kaiju movie, and then takes a weird, 30-minute arc into becoming kind of a Food Wars-esque idea where they're not orgasming from eating the kaiju, but it's kind of a black market creating here's the food market we could do if we grew these things.
Yeah, what if we just ate the kaiju? I love that. That's brilliant.
Yeah. As well as a live action adaptation of Neko Ramen Taisho.
Yeah. A
movie about a ramen shop run by cats that I'm having the hardest time trying to get my hands on.
Yeah, I've seen that one. Yeah.
Haraguchi is also on my list of directors who's not done a lot of work, but there's some stuff I want to see that he's done outside. But he's done Mika Dorido, as well as Sakuya Yokaiden, and the two Kabukichi films about a werewolf samurai.
I'm interested in the werewolf samurai. Won't lie. That sounds dope.
On the other hand, he has worked a lot in special effects, notably Gamera, the Guardian of the Universe, Gamera 2 Attack of Legion, as well as Shinya Tsukamoto's Bullet Ballet.
Oh, okay.
Ringu Zero Birthday.
Okay, yeah.
And the live-action adaptation of Junji Ito's Uzumaki Spiral.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. As for the cast, none of them are really recognizable in anything other than Ultraman, and Sakabara's barely been in anything, but there is one noted appearance.
Okay, I'd love to know it.
Hideki Anno, creator of Neon Genesis Evangelion and director of Shin Godzilla.
Yeah.
As the National Guard captain.
That's beautiful. That's a wonderful cameo.
I loved watching this, pausing, taking a photo and sending it to the lads like, hey,
he's in the background.
When you're not even in the background, has a pretty big part for this movie. When the director of Neon Genesis director and creator of Neon Genesis Evangelion randomly makes an appearance.
That is special. That is very special.
Yes. But before we get into it, I know we talked about yokai
Mm-hmm.
And Death Kappa blur the lines between yokai and kaiju.
It sure do.
And for those just joining, in the book of Yokai by Michael Dillon Foster, yokai are as an umbrella term for mysterious phenomena and weird creatures.
Mm-hmm.
And kaiju generally draw from a more commercial source. Think like Godzilla, who created the kaiju movement.
Yes.
Or Gamera. But at the same time,
Yeah.
I do want to counter Foster a little bit on some of these, because Godzilla at least does have some folk elements in it. If ever so lightly.
Yeah.
Because there was a couple lines where they mentioned that the villagers had stories of a creature like Godzilla. That's where he gets his name.
That's true. I remember that now.
Yeah. But as for Kappas themselves, they appear in Toriyama Sekien's Gazu Hyakyo, the Illustrated Demon Hordes Night Parade Volume 1, showing that it was a commonly known creature by that time, and there wasn't a description on what exactly it was. It just said Kappa, also called Kawataro.
Sure. And, I mean, if you are even lightly familiar with anime and manga, you've run into a Kappa at least once.
Yeah.
They're very popular. They're a very fun monster to include. How much is, consistent throughout their lore nowadays? Not a lot.
No, it's more consistent than what it's been in the history.
Okay.
So, Kappa are a little bit more varied than I think we know today, because today we see them as a beaked, toadish humanoid.
With turtle shell.
Yeah, turtle shell, plate on its head, that has to be kept wet, loves cucumbers and sumo.
Yeah. I have seen a few variations where the plate is replaced with an indent that is full of pond water. The pond water has to stay in there.
Yeah.
But slight variation. Generally look about the same.
Yeah, and in folklore, their purpose with the Kawataro, while silly at times, acts similar to Kelpies in Irish and Scottish folklore.
Sure, logic for why people drown in the water.
Or to keep kids away from the water's edge, or the Kappa's going to get you and devour you. Because there are lores of man-eating Kappa. I mean,
sure.
Hell, you see it in My Summer with Ku in the very beginning when it talks about, oh, this Kappa's going to eat my kid.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. Though I think nowadays most people consider Kappa, at least generally, to be a relatively friendly monster who are very into cucumbers, enough where Kappa rolls is a pretty standard order for most sushi places.
Yes. Yeah, there's a specific role for it now.
Yeah, it's just cucumber. It's one of my favorites.
It's fine.
It's boring, but I like it.
But also, depending on region, there are other yokai that have similar behaviors to the role of Kappa, and they could resemble an otter, a monkey, or a turtle, with the difference between the Kappa and the Kawataro being more East versus West Japan origins, where the toad-like Kappa is generally associated with Eastern Japan, and the hairy monkey-like Kawataro comes from the West.
Makes sense.
So you just get these similar stories, because I think Kappa, if I remember right, it translates to water child.
Makes sense, except for this one, which is very much a full-grown man.
Very disgusting old man.
He is a gross old man shaped.
I want Danny DeVito to wear this costume.
This...
Or makeup. Very bad makeup.
This character feels like something that would have been from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I'm not gonna lie. But, Japanified. And also, while I agree, this Kappa specifically really took some acting cues from Danny DeVito, stylistically wise. This man is much taller than Danny DeVito, and it does make it a little awkward because he has so much legs. Yeah,
and I will say, okay, this is the second Kappa-related movie I've watched this year.
Uh-huh.
It's definitely a better costume and makeup than Underwater Love.
Yeah, I understand. When I said, imagine the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles costume, I wasn't kidding. This is very similar in make and model, but with a few less $100 put into it.
Yeah.
Especially on the mask.
Underwater Love is just a dude painted green with a beak, and you can clearly see his mouth underneath, like the Ninja Turtles.
I love that. That's really fun. This one, the costume, while not great, and definitely not my favorite version of a Kappa, is not bad. It's just really ugly.
Yes, no, it's disgusting.
The other thing that's not helping this movie is all over the place in every sense of the word. Mm-hmm. Lighting and camera choices included.
Yeah. But real quick before we get into Death Kappa, part of the reason I did want to do this one as well is because while Yokai has expanded its range to we can see their influences in Pokemon and even the game Yokai Watch.
Definitely.
The Kappa is also just as popular, just as well known, having been appeared in the Wizarding World and even a Harvest Moon game, which was my first introduction to the creature, not knowing what it was at all.
Oh yeah, no, Kappa are everywhere, and especially in this film.
But Death Kappa.
Oh, Death Kappa.
So, okay. This movie starts off like
Yeah.
a very dumb documentary.
It sure does. I had to do let's be real, there's not a lot available on this movie.
No.
I did, however, find that this movie is a joint production between the US and Japan, which makes less sense to me than I thought originally.
Interesting.
Because this movie spends all of its time taking direct jabs at both Japan and the US.
Yeah,
like aggressively.
Yeah, there's a couple movies like that. I think I've only seen one of them. It's The World Sinks Except Japan, which is a commentary on their treatment of foreigners.
Okay.
And then there's another movie that's I think it's a counterpart to it. I haven't done too much reading on it, but it's Only Japan Sinks.
Okay. Wow, that's just the reverse.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's the exact opposite of it.
I love that. Okay, so what do I mean by, despite this being a joint effort, this movie just takes jabs at the two countries producing the movie? There is a random English gentleman who, like, gives commentary and, like, backlog in the same way that, if you're familiar with the old monster movies or the old Sherlock Holmes movies, our dear beloved Mr. Lee would you do the same beforehand. He'd stand, usually in a little robe, often with a pipe and the original book in his hand, and tell you, tonight we are going to discuss the possibilities of Sherlock Holmes and his best friend Watson. This is done in a similar fashion, but it's all in Japanese, so it's not even for an American audience, I don't think.
Yeah, well, you don't know who that narrator or TV host is, do you?
I sure don't, because he confused the hell out of me.
We're using one of his books as a resource.
Are we really? Is that him?
It's Japandemonium Illustrated
Yeah.
by Matt Alt, and I forget the other author's name, but yes,
it's Matt.
Matt Alt, and he's written quite a few other books on yokai and yurei.
You know what? That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah,
I do wish they would have had a card with his name on it.
It makes more sense him being there than fucking the director and creator of Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Oh, yeah, definitely. No, it makes sense that he's there, but he gets no name card or anything.
No.
He just shows up like he is somewhat famous, but, like, he is not visually famous. He is, like, I see his name on things.
He looks a lot different than the photo on his book.
That's what I thought, too. Okay, I'm glad that I'm not the crazy one here.
No.
Because I was like, who is this American gentleman, this English gentleman? But, like, it's all in Japanese. This movie there's no English. It's not even this guy's part.
Well, it's kind of funny because even he's someone who...
He's clearly there explaining the lore to you.
But he should know, and it's not like... If maybe it was more for the American audience, that was maybe...
What American audience?
Us.
Just us. Just you and me.
Yes, just you and me.
Okay, you and me and the 150 people who have watched this for free on Crunchyroll.
Does Crunchyroll keep tabs on how many people watch it?
Well, that's how many people thumbsed up it, and then 33 thumbsed it down. As of when I watched it, that is.
So less than 200 people. Great.
I don't know if that's how many people have fully watched it, because I watched it without thumbing it up or down, because this is the second time I was watching it. I didn't want to go put the DVD in. But yeah. This movie is not like an overly popular or well-known movie.
No, and for good reason. I mean, like you said, it is all over the place because after he explains what a kappa is, it disappears. Yeah, it cuts to some girl just walking down or riding a train home.
She's having a Stardew Valley moment where, like, she's sick of the big city and she has a letter from her beloved grandma saying, "You can always come home, sweetie." And
not sick of the big city. She failed living in the big city to be a pop idol.
Well, she doesn't explain that she was a pop idol. She just is sitting there on the bus going, "Ugh, I just can't cut it in the big city." And I thought she was like an accountant who failed or something. And then when she's like listening to her own album on her own branded cassette player with her own poster.
Well, that's the thing, is the posters in the town. So you're with your face blindness, I can see why you didn't correlate the two.
Nope, didn't have any idea until it was in her house and those random ass boys were in her home being like, your music sucks. Yeah. And I was like, her music? What are you talking about?
Oh, no.
But before all that, her grandma dies horrifically.
Yes. But, yeah, oh my god, yeah, it's,
her grandmother's mannequined corpse gets tossed into the air while the camera is still, and you're just like, Grandma, no.
Yeah, and they also knock over the Kappa shrine, which is clearly...
It doesn't just knock over, they yeet it into the ocean with their little Volkswagen car.
Which clearly, when the shrine is sinking, it is just a tank.
Oh, yeah.
But that's what I love about this movie, is it's such a low-budget movie.
It is delightful.
I brought up to one of our friends who's a landlord that, hey, if you have a busted furnace, let us know. One of us might be able to hold it, so that way we can repurpose it for props later, because in one of the scenes, that's all the props are, is 2 water heaters that have really bad, like, pipes just kind of drilled into them.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this movie's prop department was just let loose on the internet to find bits from, like, random people on, like, Facebook Marketplace.
Well, I think it's supposed to be... everything about this is supposed to be humor. It's
definitely. This is a goofy movie.
It's a parody of kaiju films, and just, like, how ridiculous some of them can get. Yes. Especially with, like, once we do get to the kaiju bit. But we'll
once
get to
we get to the bad guys, you have no doubt left in your mind of how silly this movie is. Because I won't lie.
No. It's silly from the get-go. Like,
it is silly, but there's a few movies that we've watched where it's silly, but you will get the impression after having read a few interviews and stuff that maybe the director or the editor didn't think it was as silly to them as it was to everyone who was watching. This one, they know it's silly, and once they get to the bad guy squad, you are without a doubt left with any, like, hesitation that this movie was meant to be taken silly.
Yeah. Like,
you're not supposed to take any part of this seriously.
No, not at all. And that's the thing, too, is, like, even the silly bits are really dumb, because the grandma getting killed by the drunk high school drivers or drunk drivers. Yeah, the bunch of
youths. Just really... the hooligans, one will.
Yeah. But it's just... It's such a dumb plot, because she goes from this to being tied to the Kappa because it's her family, and then just...
She becomes a shrine maiden almost immediately.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Like literally, she's praying at her like her home wake for her grandmother. She's like, "Oh, Grandma, I miss you so much already. It's been 4 seconds. I will take on the duty that is our family honor." Literally turns around and it's a costume change turn, and she's in her shrine maiden outfit.
Yeah, no, and listening to her stupid song. Which let me say one thing about this.
This song is terrible.
One of the lines is "I'm wearing panties today."
And yes, I saw that as well.
I think that's the point, is it's no wonder her music career failed, is she's not doing good songs.
Literally the only thing that has ever liked her music is this one Kappa. Even the children in town do not like her music.
No, and they like it only because the Kappa likes it.
I think they just like the Kappa dancing.
Yeah, and even just building up the horror of this movie, because even before we meet the Kappa, I think it's trying to lead us to think that maybe the Kappa is dangerous because the teenagers get killed by some mysterious thing in the water and then abducted or killed by some dudes in black.
Yeah, okay, so yes, there's like a random mystery thing that kills the boys, and then the girls are abducted by what appears to be CIS/Carmen Sandiego.
No, 2 of them are killed.
Yeah, both boys.
And the girl.
Nope, both girls live because they're Thing 1 and Thing 2.
Oh, right. Yep, later on.
Yeah. Now, both boys get horribly murdered. One of them's legs go flying. The other one has arm, leg, and head yeeted across the screen.
Yeah. Well, it's also a weird moment, too, because one of them's they're acting really drunk, and one's really stupid, and one's trying to feign philosophical and bullshit.
They're the dumbest characters. I'm kind of glad that 2 of them died very quickly in this film, because they're painful to look at.
Yeah. Because that's immediately, we go from that to the bright, sunshiny Kappa bullshit, which...
I also love that her family not only seems to be in charge of the Kappa Shrine, but based off of the vast amount of plant that she claims is cucumber. It's not cucumber. I know what a cucumber plant looks like, and that ain't it. But the vast amount that she claims is cucumber, and the fact that her grandmother died carrying a wad worth of cucumber, I believe that they are also giant cucumber farmers.
Yeah.
Like, their whole purpose in life is to have enough cucumber for Kappa.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is.
That's so stupid.
I mean...
Because up until her, Kappa wasn't real.
No, Kappa was real. He was in the shrine, but he was dried out.
When you're dried out, you don't need 5,000 pounds of cucumber.
Spiritually, he might.
He might, but who's eating all this cucumber before she's given it to the actual Kappa? Is Grandma throwing it off the cliff every day?
Yeah.
I've had cucumber plants. Those suckers give you so much cucumbers.
Mhm.
It's like tomatoes. Eventually you're sick of cucumbers. Grandma's over here like, the the wrinkly Kappa shrine didn't eat all his cucumbers. Into the ocean. Yoik.
Hey, we don't know if there's more Kappas out there.
That's true. We don't. It is implied that this is the only Kappa.
Yeah, no, I know. But I do like the energy of this bit, too, because it makes me think of the Tokyo Gore Police commercials.
Yeah, I think Tokyo Gore Police is even mentioned on the back of the DVD.
Probably. Maybe a producer or something.
I think one of the producers also worked on it, and it's like in bold letters, to the point where I saw that I went, okay, well, you're not rated, and you say Tokyo Gore Police on the back. We're gonna watch this in my room.
Yeah.
Just to be safe. It was safe.
Oh, yeah,
The blood is corny, and the only questionable item seems to have been accidentally found on Craigslist, and they don't even use it correctly.
Yeah, that is always the gamble of whether when you load something from Tokyo Shock or Media Blasters is, can a kiddo watch this or not?
Can someone accidentally walk into this and you be able to explain what's happening? This one, yes. This one, you're fine. The only questionable prop is not even used correctly, and you're so busy looking at the Japanese versions of Nazis that you don't have to worry about it.
Yes. Oh my god. Yeah, so, like, I even wrote it in my notes, because there's a part where we see the first, like, bad girl.
Yeah, she's dressed like black version of Carmen Sandiego. Like, black hat, black coat.
Nope, she's dressed like female prisoner Scorpion Sasori.
That is it.
Yep.
That is what she is. I'm not gonna lie. All I saw with the hat was Carmen Sandiego, but, like, spy version. But I see it now.
Yeah, once you know the Sasori look, it's everywhere.
Yeah, now that you mention it, that is it. However, I giggled thinking, where in the world?
Yeah. I mean, evil Carmen Sandiego.
Definitely evil Carmen Sandiego.
But yeah, no, they are nationalists, and like they want to revive the spirit of Japan. Even their symbol looks like a mix between the rising sun and the Iron Cross.
It is so painfully obvious. Like, they even like at first you're like, I think this might be a reference to World War II.
No, it is.
Thing. And, like, it's a little bit subtle at first because you're just really focused on Crazy Lady and her dead wrinkly grandpa. Biological
warfare. They're creating these super soldiers.
Yeah, but it's one of those tales that, like, sure, every villain does it. You know, if you're a good bad guy and you have a lair. But then they, like, full on just are like, and we decided that we really into the Nazis idea. And you're like, okay, all right, put a pause. Now we're in Helsing territory here.
Yeah, and it's not like the fashion movement, but it is very much so a weird scene altogether, because
it is.
This is where
it's very strange.
Yeah, this is where Hideki Anno shows up too, and it's just like, okay,
why are you here?
Yeah, like
because he's not even like, his character doesn't do anything. He just shows up, stands around, and then dies.
He orders people around. He's the leader, the commander.
He is, but compared to his cronies who are all around, you've got weird Carmen Sandiego,
who at some point just derobes into lingerie.
Yeah, for no reason. There was supposedly a gun somewhere. I missed the gun.
Yeah.
There's also Crazy Lady with her very dead grandpa, who she kisses.
Yes. Oh god, yeah.
It was fine until the kiss. I'm not gonna lie. I was behind the whole, like, this is a fun, crazy person. Like, bad guy. And then we had to kiss the mummy.
Yeah. Well, and that's right, because this is where they also explain the whole plot is they're fusing humans with petrified Kappa somehow. And that's why they brought the two girls in on chains and walking on all fours?
Question mark? Yeah, because they've got three dudes who are, like, shape of water men.
Yeah, the Umihiko Aqua soldiers.
Yeah. I mean, those are just the water guy from Hellsboy, from Hellbell.
Yeah.
Like, what's happening?
Yeah, I don't know.
And like, they don't do anything. They're like, they don't have their switches turned on until later, and then she turns them on, and they just kind of go, blah, and they die.
And then the Kappa shows up out of absolutely nowhere and sumos them into unconsciousness.
I love how, okay, so a few times throughout this movie, I think it's a grand total of 5, maybe 6 times, random Englishman will just abruptly interrupt the movie to tell you some lore, and then disappear again into the ether. He interrupts to be like, by the way, I know I told you about the whole, like, cucumber obsession with the Kappa. Did I tell you about his obsession with sumo wrestling? Because if I didn't, that's an important fact. And then he disappears again.
Yeah.
And then the Kappa just fully sumo wrestles some guys, but, like, the man who is in the Kappa suit, while doing a great job being a Kappa, is not a sumo wrestler, and he also can't get down low enough in the Kappa outfit. So it just looks like a bunch of teenage boys wrestling.
Yeah. No, it's so cheesy and great, because, like, if that's the other thing, too, is, like, this movie acts like the lore of Kappa never exists, and that's why Alt has to show up to explain stuff, because one of the ways you beat Kappa in sumo is you bow to them, it bows, and it loses its water, and so it loses its superhuman strength.
Yeah. Oh, also, he does, at a different point, bust in and be like, oh yeah, by the way, Kappas need to be kept moist. He doesn't say anything that the plate needs to be wet. He just says, you gotta keep your Kappa moist. And so it cuts to her with a watering can, just watering the Kappa, while he noms on Cucumber. Mm-hmm. But he noms on Cucumber the same way the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in their live-action costumes attempted to eat pizza. Yeah. Which is by just shoving the food into the mask. And it's really uncomfortable, because this one has a lot of teeth.
Yeah. Well, and on top of that, like, it's so bad, especially, like, when, fighting the Showa ambition restoration people is great. Like, well, there's one guy who is clearly trying to be Bruce Lee with the Wacho!
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But the engineer ones end up being too strong for him for some reason.
I don't understand.
Like,
I don't know.
What is it with fusing with humans that makes this thing so much stronger?
Why is that the better option?
And why like, when it becomes... Because this battle ends with nothing because they set off a nuclear explosion, which I will say... No,
they don't even set it off. The crazy lady is like, if Grandpa can't love me, nobody can love Grandpa. And, like, sets it off, and you're like, girl, he's been dead for, like, 28 years.
Yeah.
He is crispy.
Yeah. No,
you took his hand off.
He looks like the old grandma from the chocolate SpongeBob episode.
He looks exactly like chocolate grandma from SpongeBob. Like, crispy.
Oh, yeah. But I will say the ink in the water is a good low-budget mushroom cloud effect. It's not great, it gets the point across.
It works. I mean, everything else in this movie looks like garbage anyway, so, like, it's fine. And when I say they're pulling props from Facebook Marketplace, like, it's really obvious we're pulling props from Facebook Marketplace, because the background to this lab is just full of, like, washers and dryers that they've, like, spray painted. 2
boilers that they've got random hoses or...
They didn't have the budget to, like, properly make, like, restraints, so they just found an adult toy to tie her to for no reason. Like, that was just what they had. Because it doesn't play a role in any way. No. Because I saw that, I was like, oh, I made the right choice to watch this not in the living room. And then I realized that it's not part of the plot whatsoever. No. She's not even tied to it correctly. They have it upside down. And also, like, she's, like, gently got her hands through the gigantic man-sized cuffs.
Well, you can't have your actress uncomfortable.
You can't. And also, I think they couldn't figure out how to change the cuffs.
Or they just had what was ever laying around.
I think they had whatever was laying around, because, like, everyone else is also dressed in clearly, like, costumes from, like, Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah.
Like, someone had these for school play, and they just bought them.
But that's what I like about it, is because it is such a mismatch of low budget.
I love it.
That's why it works so well as something entertaining.
I agree. I think the thing they spent the most money on, by far, was the Not Godzilla.
Yes. Yeah.
He looks great.
Who might come from the fusion of the wannabe Gilman.
Okay, so I was very confused. I've seen this movie twice now in the span of 2 days. Mm-hmm. And the first time I saw it, I thought this was a Gilman thing, because, like, that's what we were just looking at. However, this movie, you cannot be deceived. You can't follow plot, and there is no logic. So, I think that the Giant Godzilla, on second watch, I believe Giant Godzilla is on a blow-up, like, inflatable animatronic on top of, like, a department store downtown Tokyo. And he comes to life via the radiation of the atomic bomb, is how I have decided to interpret this.
Yeah.
Because he's there before the bomb goes off. They, like, clearly show him. And then they flash back to the bomb. And everyone goes, ah! Oh no! Our main heroine dies, I think.
Nope.
Oh yeah, no, she's fine somehow.
But disappears for like 30 minutes.
Yeah, like, to the point where you think maybe the movie has changed?
No, it has changed. It's like Titanic, where they split it up into 2 movies. That first half is a yokai movie, and this half is a kaiju movie, which...
I would argue, though, that the Titanic, having 2 halves, at least has the same characters in both halves.
This one does too.
Where is the giant not Godzilla? in the first half of the movie. He's the majority of the second half.
He's not, but the Kappa and the girl are back.
Okay,
and so's her high school childhood friend and the dipshit child.
Okay, so I timed this because I, after an hour, thought this movie was too long.
I agree.
So I paid attention to the timing. So the first part of the movie, everything we've talked up to until the explosion, happens 1 hour and about 5 minutes of the movie. And this is an hour and a half-ish long movie. The rest of the movie, the next 20 minutes of movie, is just the Godzilla.
Yeah.
There's no Kappa even at this point. The Kappa shows up the last 10 minutes of the movie, and she comes back the last 3 minutes of the movie.
Exactly. It's just a bunch of destruction that I love this bit because it does make me feel like old Godzilla.
It does.
Especially like the downtown city and all like the laser tanks that they take out that feel like later Godzilla movies. But
yeah,
I also appreciate how low budget and little shits they give, because there's one part where they're shooting the lasers. Everyone's shielding their eyes, but some dude's just wearing glasses upside down.
Yeah, and it's not even like everyone's wearing like actual protective goggles, and he has like his wife's prescription readers on.
Yes, no, exactly. And at one point on the counterattack from the creature, one attack just burns a paper of that's the picture of the ray gun cars.
Yeah, like the abilities wildly vary.
Yeah, one of the reporters who's going to be there to the end turns into a figure that's set on fire.
And it's even labeled too, just because clearly, like, at some point they watched the footage back and went, that does kind of look like a different person, because it's literally just like a little plastic figurine that they've dressed in a small, tiny doll-size outfit of the reporter, and then they've set him on a table somewhere and then blowtorched him.
Yeah.
And then the screen even says, like, our reporter is dying.
Yeah, no.
Like, they label it for you.
It is great. I think.
No, it's fantastic.
It is such a dumb bit. And even when the Kappa appears, like you said, 10 minutes before the end.
Yeah.
I love that Alt has to interrupt to make the joke and try and explain, you know, there's a difference between yokai and kaiju, right?
Yeah, and like he even says it in the like winky sort of way, like, we are aware that the Kappa was not large enough to fight Godzilla just a moment ago.
Yeah.
But he is now, don't worry about it.
No, he's not even good at it. Like, the fight is so dumb because it's like, they play volleyball, that one of them uses a couple smokestacks as nunchucks. We get into like Kung Pao level of tomfoolery.
It's so Kung Pao-y in its silliness. The like noises that they've decided to keep in just are absolutely goofy garbage. There's like a couple of flash scenes to like government officials trying to solve the problem, and like one of them turns and is like, "Sir, I think we can take him out if you just approve the attack." And the guy at the desk goes, "Attack." And so all of them, like in a row, turn and go, "Attack. Prepare to attack. Attacking."
Yeah.
Like they're standing next to each other.
I wonder, because
it's not full Mel Brooks.
No.
But it's close.
But I do wonder if maybe this had a little bit of influence on Anno making Shin Godzilla. Maybe,
because it does have some vibes, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's that little bit of like the bureaucracy can't do anything about this, and they're just kind of useless.
The best part is the last 3 minutes of this film, when our main heroine does come back for a hot 4 seconds. It is revealed that the Kappa is not the savior of mankind. He's just another monster.
Yeah.
He's just... Now he's the problem.
No, because they powered him up and now he's too strong. Now the Kappa's the problem.
Exactly.
And so the only way they can write themselves out of this movie is the Shrine Maiden has to come back singing a song about how she's wearing her panties today.
Yeah, it's literally the song that we've listened to this whole time. And, okay, so the actual singing of it, if you don't know Japanese... The tune isn't the worst.
No.
Most films, I would argue, that write their own music without any actual score or composer's aid sound worse than this. However, as someone who had to watch this movie with subtitles, the subtitles are so fucking distracting. Because none of the lyrics make any sense, even by, like, translation standards.
Yeah, or what's going on with anything. Because, like, honestly...
It's like an anime opening.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
No. It's worse than most anime openings, because here's the thing. What's Up People's a great opening. The Rumbling's great.
Yeah, but, like, also, there's plenty that, like, you know... everyone's dying, and then we cut to a happy-go-lucky song.
Yeah, you're talking like old school, like 80s anime where the songs never match the show.
I'm 100% talking about 80s-ish animes, because this had such 80s anime vibes throughout the whole film that I even questioned that if maybe this had a source material that I hadn't found and watched. I'm sad to report, ladies and gentlemen, that Death Kappa does not have a 70s or 80s anime that like none of us have seen or heard of that only had 3 episodes. It doesn't have one. I looked very hard because I honestly, based off everyone's acting, how the story goes, I thought maybe this was like a condensation of some story no one had ever heard of. It's not. It's just the mad ramblings of a genius.
No. Well, and here's what's great about the ending too is it makes no sense on like why
this works.
Well, because the ultimate thing is the only reason the Kappa is evil is because his plate's dry.
Yeah, so if he was just to like dunk his head into the water, he'd be fine.
Yeah.
He's literally right next to the ocean. Despite the fact that he keeps saying that this is Tokyo, I don't understand. But like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about where this is actually located.
But, well, and also like the ending, I don't know which ending I like better than like. So this one, he just pieces out.
He does.
That's all it does. It says the end, question mark.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about the question mark.
I think I hate this ending because of that. But, like, it's not like Gamera, where...
yeah.
Gamera was clearly a Godzilla ripoff, and their only solution to get rid of him is shoot him off to space. He's Space's problem now. Which
did lead to a whole different franchise worth of space monsters. So I'll give him that. Yeah. However, I think I like Death Kappa's ending because it is self-aware.
Yeah.
If this had been in any way meant to be a serious movie, and, like, I was the one who was having the, like, fun, like, watching it, I would be mad at the question mark and, like, the, like, kind of copy-outy ending. Because, like, honestly, everything does resolve in under the last minute. Like, it is up to the wire. It is up to the credits where this movie still has plot happening. There's not like let's watch him disappear into the sunset. Let's have a monologue about our feelings about Kappa. We don't even get that.
No.
He's just gone. Credits.
Gone. Peace. Maybe another one.
There's not even, like, time for us to listen to the terrible song again as, like, a joke.
No.
It just blacks to credits, like, immediately. Which I appreciate, because this movie knows what it is. I think they also realized that despite this only being about an hour and a half long movie...
It's not even an hour 20.
Not even.
It's hour 19.
It's a pretty damn short movie. But even then, because this is such silly nonsense, at the hour mark, you're done.
Yeah.
And they know that.
So they gotta wrap it up.
They do. They wrapped it up nice and quick. Because, like, I was trying to keep time of, like, man, how much more do we have? Because if this is a 3-hour movie, I don't know if I'm gonna make it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Chris, rent and buy streamer declined that we ever watched Death Kappa despite having an audio recording of watching it.
I will be actively streaming this again. I have a group of friends who, despite them not normally watching Japanese silly movies, we normally watch general silly, spooky movies, usually shark or haunted movies. This is right up their alley, despite this being outside of their normal wheelhouse. We will be streaming this again, and I am happy to report that if you have Crunchyroll and a couple other services, this is actively streaming right now. You can get a hold of it. I think most of them call it an episode, so if you're looking for it on 2 of the 3 websites that I was hunting this down on, they called it an episode. You just click it. It's fine.
Yeah. And even though I own it, I still am in the camp of stream it. It's not amazing, but it is fun just to see what people do with something so classic. It's definitely a better watch than, I will say, Underwater Love.
I agree with that.
But it's also bad in its own right too, where I
completely agree.
I would have a very hard time forcing some other people to watch this, other than if they didn't know that Hideki Anno is in it.
That's true. I will say, I would be willing to change my rating if, at some point, I don't know when or how, if the DVD decided to come out with a little bit of behind the scenes on how the costuming was made and how they did the sets and, like, a couple of, like, talks with the actors and stuff. Because honestly, like, yes, this movie looks like trash, but it looks like good trash. I'm very interested to know how they made a lot of this stuff. The suit actually looks pretty good.
Yeah, if you want, I do recommend if I can ever get it on an American DVD, Meatball Machine does that.
Yes. Similar idea there, where like I would be willing to move from stream to buy if there was just a little bit extra to tell me a little behind the scenes, a little bit of dialogue on some people's opinions. But however, this came out in 2010. As far as I can find, there's nothing.
Yeah, I don't need anything with it. I've got the DVD. It's fine. It's got a little featurette on it, making of.
Yeah,
yeah. But anywho, this has been the Good, the Bad, and the Weird MicroViews.
Thanks for listening.
Peace. Thank you for stopping by this here town of the good, the bad, and the weird. We appreciate your listenership, and if you want more of our takes in your life, feel free to check us out on social media at The Good, the Bad, and the Weird Podcast, or tgtbtw for short. As well, if we missed a fact, your favorite part of a movie, or just have a suggestion and want to reach out and say howdy, feel free to email us at tgtbtwpodcast@gmail.com. And feel free to join our Discord at The Good, the Bad, and the Weird Podcast, where we talk about movies, just share random banter here and there. And always, check out our podcasters, streamers, or any other content creator we shout out in our episodes. We really appreciate it. And as always, thank you for listening. Peace.